In the darkest shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read ancient tomes, the order of the Abercast. We are the brave and bold.
The Ages begins with the shocking story of Cain and Abel and the journey of violence and revenge spanning thousands of years, following Cain through his cursed life from an ancient invasion of malicious angels to the American Revolutionary War. A masterful, compelling journey through time, The Ages delves deep into arcane knowledge, myth, and legend. The art is stunning, and the story takes you on a journey where mortals, immortals, angels, and demons are all forced to deal with the folly that is God's creation. It's a beautifully dark and gritty ride through history. This 4-part story follows the astrological procession of the ages and how each 2,500-year age parallels major changes in the development of Earth's inhabitants. Cain's blasphemous struggle with the divine and sacred tyrant God will create and crumble empires, shape history, and cause a cosmic cataclysm.
By clicking sign up, you agree to our terms, and that you have read our data use policy, including our cookie use. So we can go on to, so we can show you content that you may find interesting. We may use all of the information we receive about you to serve ads that are more relevant to you. For example, this includes information you provide at registration or add to your account or timeline, things you share and do on Facebook, such as what you like, and your interaction with advertisements, partners, or apps, keywords from your stories, and things we infer from your use of Facebook. You give us permission to use your name, profile picture, content, and information in connection with commercial sponsored or related content such as a brand you like, served to enhanced by us. This means, for example, that you permit a business or other entity to pay us to display your name and or profile picture with your content or information without any compensation to you. If you have selected a specific audience for your content or information, we will respect your choice when we use it. Today, we learn about your interest primarily from the things you do on Facebook, such as pages you like. Starting soon in the U.S., we will also include information from some of the websites and apps you use. This is a type of interest-based advertising. Many companies already do this. Let's say you are thinking about buying a new TV and you start researching TVs on the web and in mobile apps. We may show you ads for deals on a TV to help you get the best price or other brands to consider. And because we think you're interested in electronics, we may show you ads for other electronics in the future, like speakers or game console to go with your new TV. How we use the information we receive. We use the information we receive about you in connection with the services and features we provide to you and other users, like your friends, our partners, the advertisers that purchase ads on the site, and the developers that build the games, applications, and websites you use. For example, in addition to helping people see and find things that you do and share, we may use the information we received about you. As part of our efforts to keep Facebook product services integrations safe and secure, to protect Facebook's other rights of property, to provide you with location features and services like telling you and your friends, let me reread that one, to provide you with location features and services like telling you and your friends when something is going on nearby, to measure or understand the effectiveness of ads you and others see, including to deliver relevant ads to you, to make a suggestion to you and other users on Facebook, such as suggesting that your friend use our contact importer because you found friends using it, suggesting that other users add you as a friend because user imported the same email address as you did, or suggest that your friend tag you in a picture they have uploaded with you in it. And finally, for internal operations including troubleshooting, data analysis, testing, research, and service improvement. Unless we make a change for legal or administrative reasons or to correct an inaccurate statement, we will provide you with 7 days notice, for example, by posting a change on the Facebook site governance page, and an opportunity to comment on the changes to this statement. You can also visit our Facebook site governance page and like the page to get updates about changes to this statement. If we make changes to policies referenced and are incorporated by this statement, we may provide notice on the site governance page. Your continued use of Facebook following changes to our terms constitutes your acceptance of our amended terms. I'll get more on that later. More on that horse shit later.
The Abercast. Occult. History. Conspiracy. Violence.
All right, welcome to the Abercast. I'm your homeboy, Johnny. Your homeboy, Johnny. Before we get too far into everything, let's see. Got a new review on iTunes. I love it. New 5-star review. Filthy McNasty 75 says, very entertaining. Never know what he's going to say next. Thank you. And that is true. I am very unpredictable at times. Filthy McNasty also found me on Instagram, and he wrote me a fun greeting. Filthy McNasty 75 on Instagram says, "What's up, you drunk fuck? My favorite podcast at the moment, son." So give him a shout out. I thought this evening I would start off by reminding everybody that moving day is coming soon. I still have a mountain of stuff to do to get ready for it, but moving day is what I've started calling this project, where the RSS feed of the Abercast is going to be scooching, and we're going to be resubmitting it to iTunes and all of that. So we just keep telling everybody, if you're wondering where the show is, probably what happened is we took away the old RSS feed and we've moved the RSS feed. We're doing this for a bunch of different reasons, and they'll all become clear, I think. So all you have to do is just go to iTunes or your podcast catcher, wherever you get the show at now, and just research for the Abercast. The name of the show is not changing. I'm still going to be here. Everything is fine, everybody. We're just changing RSS feeds for a number of different reasons, like I said. So if you're like, hey, it's fucking Monday, and where is the Abercast? Just research it. And if for some reason it does take iTunes a little bit of time to post shows or whatever, to, give you your own thing on the iTunes store or whatever. I can't remember how long it took last time, but it's not instantaneously, so there might be a few days lag. So just keep me in your memory. Write a little note to yourself. Pull out your phone right now, open up your Notepad app, and just write on yourself, or put a reminder in your calendar for a month from now. Hey, if you haven't heard the Abercast lately, maybe you want to research me, the Abercast, on the iTunes Store and Stitcher or wherever, and resubscribe, do all that good stuff. I don't want to lose any of you. I don't want to lose you guys, but this also means that all of my reviews are going to go away. So we're going to start from scratch on some stuff, but it's going to be well worth it, everybody. Fact of the matter is, we're changing the form. You probably already noticed if you're listening to the last few shows, we're pushing all the ads to the beginning and to the end. It's going to be way more user-friendly, way less you guys swerving around in your cars trying to skip through the ads. When I used to take breaks to calm down and maintain blood pressure, all that stuff, I'm putting it all on the line. I'm going to wait to do all that shit at the end. All right, so what's the show about? What the fuck are you reading terms of agreement for in the cold open? So the term data mining and stuff's being really thrown around in the media lately, and we did a show on this stuff. It was called Computational Propaganda. So we're going to be kind of building from that episode, and we're going to be kind of talking about this data mining. What exactly does it mean? How exactly do they use it? I got a lot of material here to go through, and that you can find these terms of services anywhere, especially the Facebook governance page. But I was reading from, and we're going to get back to, I just want to give credit where credit's due, Amanda Schecker in 2014 wrote an article for, I think, it was for the Huffington Post. It's called "Didn't Read Facebook's Fine Print." Here's exactly what it says. That's the name of her article. So she gets into some of this stuff, but it's old. It's changed since then for sure. And like I said, we are going to get back to that because it has one in particular very interesting thing in it. But that's not where we're going to start. Ironically, though, that is where we started, since that was the cold open. So, because this data mining, this Facebook thing, this Cambridge Analytica situation has become ubiquitous, at least for the last week and a half. They got people trying to crucify Mark Zuckerberg in the streets. People are chasing him down with pitchforks because he might have helped Trump. which is ridiculous on its face, and we're going to get to that. We're going to start here. This fuck, man, I didn't put where these fucking things came from. Okay, this one was from, I think, the Chicago Tribune, and it's by a reporter by the name of Clarence Page. It was written on the March 23rd, 2018, and it's entitled, "Why No One Complained When Obama Used Facebook Data." And I'm just gonna brace you guys. This is what this is what we settle for when we talk about journalism nowadays. So just listen to this fucking article. Clarence Page, "Why No One Complained When Obama Used Facebook Data." March 23rd, 2018, I believe, from the Chicago Post. I'm sorry I didn't print it. Remember when breathless speculation less than a year ago on whether Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg would run for president? That was then. Oh, how the mighty Zuck image has fallen amid scandalous revelations about the social network allowing consultants for Donald Trump's presidential campaign to gain access to personal information on millions of Facebook users. Former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon told CNN Thursday that he doesn't, quote, remember, unquote, purchasing personal information from Facebook while working for the data firm Cambridge Analytica, where he once served as vice president. But Bannon did express a novel version of the often used Trumpian deflection that I call BBOF, which stands for Blame Barack Obama First. This is journalism. This is a fair and balanced journalist. Can you tell? This fuck Clarence Page. the alleged fuck. This alleged fuck Clarence Page. This is your fifth estate, America. In 2008, it was Google and Facebook that went to Barack Obama, met him at San Francisco. See, just listen to this sentence. In 2008, it was Google and Facebook that went to Barack Obama and met him at San Francisco airport. Am I reading it wrong? In 2008, it was Google and Facebook that went to Barack Obama and met him at San Francisco airport. I mean, I have like this outdated version of Word that would be like, hey, there should be a "the" in there. There should be some kind of article in there. It told him all about the power of this personal data. He said, yet the great opposition party, media, never went after the Obama campaign, never went after the progressive left as they've been doing this for years. And in 2013, when I thought the data company might be important, all of a sudden it becomes global news. Bannon's view already was going viral on the political right, quote, liberal media, unquote, shouted a Fox News website headline. Quote, didn't think data mining was so bad when Obama's campaign did it, unquote. What's genius for Obama is scandal when it comes to Trump, unquote, said a headline on a column by conservative Ben Shapiro in The Hill, which is a Capitol Hill newspaper. And numerous other developers, including the makers of such games as Farmville and dating app Tinder, also use the same Facebook developer tool that the Cambridge Analytica used. However, as former Obama advisors point out, there are significant differences between the way Obama's campaign mined data from Facebook and the activities of which Cambridge is accused. those vague activities of which they were accused. The Obama campaign collected data with its own campaign app and compiled with Facebook's terms and services. Most important, in my view, received permission from users before using the data. We're going to come back to that because it's actually bullshit. This guy is lying through his teeth, and I have tons of evidence, and we're going to get to it. An estimated 1 million Obama supporters gave the campaign access to their Facebook data in order to spread the word about their campaigning, or their campaign. Campaign officials say that they kept the data secure and did not sell or give it to third parties, although there have been some allegations that Facebook released at least some of the data anyway without permission. So this thing about this app is true, but you see these people's lawyers, you see these people's defense lawyerism come out when you start actually dissecting what they're talking about. Here, let me get through this and then we'll go back. Cambridge, by comparison, have been accused of violating Facebook rules. The firm has suspended CEO Alexander Nix pending an investigation. Nix, as you may recall, unintentionally added juice to the story by getting caught in an undercover sting video conducted by Cambridge Analytica by Britain's Channel 4. Viewers around the world saw Nix claim credit for Trump's election and appear to offer to entrap the client's political rivals with secret videotapes and sex workers. Facebook has taken heat from Trump's critics, too. They have accused the company of contributing to Trump's victory by failing to rein in fake news and Russian propaganda. The latest scandal has brought new calls for Zuckerberg to testify before Congress and clarify how customer data is being used and possibly misused, which is none of Congress's fucking right. It's none of their business. Because as we talked about at the cold open, you said it was okay for all of this stuff. You did it. If you're on Facebook, you said it was cool for them to do this. Cambridge Analytica is a research company. I made sure that I read the research clause that's in there. Okay. On Wednesday, after remaining conspicuously silent since Friday night, Zuckerberg promised to restrict third-party access to Facebook data in an effort to win back user trust. I believe that ship has sailed, sir. We have a responsibility to protect your data, and if we can't, then we don't deserve to serve you, unquote, he wrote on Facebook. Well said. But we've heard such earnest mea culpas from Zuckerberg before. Fast Company has compiled a list of almost a dozen or other apologies Zuck has issued since 2003. Like any habitual sinner, opines Politico's media consultant Jack Schaefer. He sins, seeks forgiveness in confession, and then with that naughty boy expression pasted on his face, he goes forth and sins again. He was born to be a politician. Will he get away with this again? Will he get away with it again? We've seen this dance before. Everybody hates Zuckerberg. I mean, they made a fucking Hollywood movie about the size of asshole this guy is. Oh my God. Yet we also, I mean, I haven't seen it. I didn't watch it, but I know at least two people that after they watched it, they got off of Facebook. So, I mean, there you go. Yet we also love what his company has brought to us. Like a lot of tech wizards or major corporate CEOs, he likes to push the limits and worry about apologies later. Perhaps this time, we, the public, will push back hard enough to rein in Facebook's seductive power with the appropriate regulations. Of course, this guy's a Democrat, you can tell. Regulate. We have to regulate everything. Beginning with the requirement that they get our permission before collecting and sharing our data with third parties. You just heard me read in the terms and conditions that you gave them permission to share your data with third parties. I'm going to go back to this thing maybe later. Do I want to do this now? All right, so, okay. All right, so this app that they were talking about, so the Obama people did have an app, and when you used it, you were giving them permission to use your data. Included in that was to use your network. The people that you had on your friends list became your data. So they were able to look at, I think we are going to get into this later, but just a brief overview before I lose sight of this, since I'm obviously flared up about it right now. So you gave them, in this app, you gave them permission to use your data. So what's data? I don't know, but in this, with this app, what it did is it turned your friends list into a data set. And it turned your friends list into a data set that, had values. So they were able to figure out if you were quote like a community leader, or they call it an influencer. If you were an influencer among a certain set of your group of friends, they were able to exploit that, and we're going to get into it. So this guy's saying, well, they gave him permission to use their data, the data that was in their Facebook app. But the people that, okay, so say that I gave Obama, I downloaded the app and I was using the app to campaign for Obama, and I said, you can use my data that's on my Facebook account. Well, all of a sudden, my friends list becomes the data set. Those people did not agree. You see what I'm saying? Those people did not agree to be my data, I guess. Well, I guess if you look at these terms and services, I guess they did, maybe. But they didn't agree to be marketed to by Obama people. We're going to see that that's exactly what happened to them. And again, I want to say that this is not an anti-Obama rant, as I'm known to do that, but that is not what this is. I want to just examine with you. I just want to examine with you what all this data mining means and what they're able to do with it. And then I also is kind of like talking about this media coverage. There's this bias on this not in this case. Anyhow, we're using the Obama administration to talk about data mining. Or not the administration, the campaign. I need to make that distinction. We're talking about the Obama campaign and how they use data mining, because it's done. All the smoke is cleared. We know exactly what they did. These articles and stuff I'm getting into, these are not apologist articles. These are articles from 2012. I have two from 2012, and then I have another one from 2018. So I specifically found this one, which was a little bit difficult to read. It's from the MIT Technology Review, and it's called How Obama's Team Used Big Data to Rally Voters. How President Obama's campaign used big data use big data I'm going home this weekend. Maybe that was a Freudian slip. I don't know. I'm going home for my birthday, everybody. Hey, happy birthday, John. No problem. Thank you. How President Obama's campaign used big data to rally individual voters. So this is MIT. This is a bunch of engineers jerking off, reading about engineer stuff. After the voters returned Obama to office for a second term, his campaign became celebrated for its use of technology. Much of it developed by an unusual team of coders and engineers that redefined how individuals could use the web, social media, and smartphones to participate in political process. in the political process. A mobile app allowed a canvasser to download and return walk sheets without ever entering a campaign office. A web platform called Dashboard gamified volunteer activity by ranking the most active supporters, and targeted sharing protocols mined Obama's backers' Facebook network in search of friends the campaign wanted to register, mobilize, and persuade. But underneath all that were scores describing particular voters, a new political currency that predicted the behavior of individual humans. The campaign didn't just know who you were, it knew exactly how it could turn you into the type of person they wanted you to believe or wanted you to be. The fucking creep factor should get up to 11 on this. I'm just going to reread part of this thing. A web platform called Dashboard gamified volunteers' activities by ranking the most active supporters and, quote, targeted sharing, unquote, protocols, mined Obama backers' Facebook network in search of friends the campaign wanted to register, mobilize, or persuade. So this is in 2012. We got this in 2012 from MIT. And we got the alleged fuck clearance page over here in 2018 telling us that it didn't do this. The Obama campaign embedded social scientists from the Analysis Institute among its staff. Party officials knew that adding new Democrat voters to registration rolls was a crucial element in their strategy for 2012. But already the campaign had ambitions beyond merely modifying non-participating citizens' behavior through registration and mobilization. It wanted to take on the most vexing problem in politics: changing voters' minds. So you can see why I kind of linked to this episode with the computational propaganda episode. The expansion of individual level data had made possible the kind of testing that could help do that. Experimenters had typically calculated the average effect on their interventions across the entire population. But as campaigns developed deep portraits of voters in their database, it became possible to measure the attributes of the people who were actually moved by an experiment's impact. A series of tests in 2006 by the women's group Emily's List had illustrated the potential of conducting controlled trials with micro-targeting databases. Then the group sent direct mail in favor of Democratic gubernatorial candidates, and it barely budged those whose scores placed them in the middle of the partisan spectrum. It had a far greater impact, guess what, on those who had been profiled as soft or non-ideological. The test and others had followed demonstrated the limitations of traditional targeting. Such techniques rested on a series of long-standing assumptions. For instance, the middle of the road were the most persuadable, and that infrequent voters were the likeliest to be captured in a get-out-the-vote drive. But experiments introducing new uncertainty. People who were identified as having a 50% likelihood of voting for a Democrat might in fact be torn between the two parties, or they might look like centrist only because no data attached to their records pushed a partisan prediction one way or the other. Do you understand the level of looking at your data? It's like, when you think about data mining, they were like, oh yeah, they know like I'm a white dude probably, but they're reading, scoring, and cataloging on a spectrum everything you click, everything you read, everything you type, everything you thumbs up. They're watching that. They're watching it. I mean, just look at the kind of shit they're able to determine by you just by looking at what you're doing online. The scores in the middle are the people that we know less about, says Chris Wyant, a 2008 field organizer that became the campaign's general election director in Ohio 4 years later. The extent to which we were guessing about the persuasion was not lost on any of us. In March, the campaign used this technique to test various ways of promoting the administration's healthcare policies. One series of mailers described Obama's regulatory reforms. That's a joke. Regulatory reforms. Another advised voters that they were now entitled to free regular checkups and ought to schedule one. The experiment revealed how stupid voters were. No, I'm sorry. The experiment revealed how much voter response differed by age, especially, guess what, among women. Older women thought more highly of the policies when they received reminders about preventative care. Younger women liked them more when they were told about contraceptive coverage and the new rules that prohibited insurance companies from charging women more. We're going to move on here, blah, 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 blah. At the same time, Obama's campaign was pursuing a second, even more audacious adventure in persuasion. One-on-one interaction. Traditionally, campaigns have restricted their persuasion efforts to channels like mass media or direct mail, where they can control presentations, languages, and targeting. Hey, this reminds me, go in the show notes and sign up for my mailing list, please. Thank you. Where was I? Mass media or direct mail. There they can control presentation, language, and targeting. Sending volunteers to persuade voters would mean forcing them to interact with opponents or with voters who were undecided because they were alienated from politics on delicate issues like abortion. Campaigns have typically resisted relinquishing control of grand level interactions with voters to risk such potential combustible situations that they felt it didn't know enough about their supporters or volunteers. Quote, you can have a negative impact, unquote. I gave a couple, in 2012, I gave a couple door knockers some negative impact. Who served as national blah, blah, blah. You can hurt your candidate. In February, however, Obama volunteers attempted 500,000 conversations with the goal of winning new supporters. Voters who had been randomly... Now, read this. With the goal of winning new supporters, voters who had been randomly selected from a group identified as persuadable were polled after a phone conversation that began with a volunteer reading from a script. We definitely find certain people moved more than other people, says Bird. Analysts identified their attributes and made them the core of the persuasion model that predicted on a scale of 0 to 10 the likelihood that a voter could be pulled in Obama's direction after a single volunteer interaction. The experiment also taught Obama's field department about its volunteers. Those in California, which had always had an exceptionally mature volunteer organization for a non-battleground state, turned out to be especially persuasive. Voters called by Californians, no matter what state they were in themselves, were more likely to become Obama supporters. Dipsticks. Davidson, whose previous work had left... Davidson, this lady Davidson. Hold on, what's her name? Carol. Carol Davidson. We're going to find out more about her later, but she has some shit to say. Get rid of this now. So remember, this article was in 2012, but we're going to catch up with her here in a little bit. It's current day. We're going to jump in our DeLorean. Carol Davidson, whose previous work had left her intimately familiar with the rich data sets held in set-top boxes. What they're talking about is the Nielsen ratings. So many homes in every market has a box for their television that tracks what they watch, and this is where the data from TV ratings comes from, are these Nielsen families. There's another company that does it too. So this is where she came from. She came from this big data set world of looking at TV ratings from these boxes. She understood that a lot of the data was available in the form of tuner and DVR histories collected by cable providers and then aggregated by research firms for privacy reasons. However, the information was not available on the individual level. The hardest thing in media buying right now is the lack of information. So I guess what she's talking about is, like, if you spend a lot of time watching Fox News, they could probably put you in one value set over here that's like not very likely to vote Democrat, I would imagine. On the same thing, if you watch any other cable news, you could probably be put in like a not very likely to vote Republican. You know, if you watch like late night quote comedy shows, especially the first 10 or 20 minutes of one, because they can also do that. They can also split it down to when you're tuning in. Davidson began negotiating to have research firms repackage their data in a form that would permit the campaign to access the individual histories without violating the cable provider's privacy standards. Under a gigantic $350,000 deal that she worked out with one company, RentTrack, the campaign provided a list of persuadable voters and their addresses derived from its micro-targeting models, and the company looked for them in the cable provider's billing files. And when a record matched, RentTrack would issue it a unique household ID that identified viewing data from a single set-top box, but masked any personally identifiable information. Do you understand how crazy that is? That is crazy. It's a crazy amount of work. Fuck, man. Think of that. Think of the data they can get off of you. Ugh. You can find what I'm renting at home. Oh no, don't share it with my wife. The Obama campaign had created its own television ratings. The Obama campaign had created its own television rating system, a kind of Nielsen in which only the viewers who mattered were those not yet fully committed to a presidential candidate. But Davidson had to get the information into a practical form by early May, when Obama's strategists planned to start running their anti-Romney ads. She oversaw the development of a software platform the Obama staff called the Optimizer, which broke the day into 96 quarter-hour segments and assessed which time slots across 60 channels offered the greatest number of persuadable targets per dollar. This is unbelievable. By September, she had unlocked even richer trove of data. A cable system in Toledo, Ohio, which tracked viewers' tuner histories by the second. The revolution of media buying in this campaign, says Walsh, was to turn what was a broadcast medium into something that looked a lot more like a narrowcast medium. when the Obama campaign did use the television as mass media, it was because the optimizer has concluded that it would be a more efficient way of reaching persuadable targets. Sometimes a national cable ad was better bargain than a large number of local buys in 66 media markets, reaching battleground states. But this occasional national buy also had other benefits. It could boost fundraising and motivate volunteers in states that weren't essential to Obama's electoral college arithmetic. Arithmetic? And, says Davidson, it helped hide some of the strategy of your buying. So when it was all said and done, and Obama had won again, there's this last portion of the article. We're going to jump down to the end. In a section called The Legacy. A few days after the election, as Florida authorities continued to count provisional ballots, a few staff members were directed, as 4 years before, to remain in Chicago. Their instructions were to produce another post-mortem report summing up the lessons of the past year and a half. The undertaking was called the Legacy Project. It was a grandiose title inspired by the idea that the innovations of Obama 2012 should be translated not only to the campaign of the next Democratic candidate for president, but also to governance. Obama had succeeded in convincing some citizens that a modest adjustment in their behavior would affect, however marginally, the result of an election. He could make them feel the same way about Congress. So, I mean, that's a great question. And I wonder, with all of that, election night. All right. So, I mean, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of that already? They barely even actually mentioned Facebook in that. I mean, we're talking about gathering data from a lot of different places. So let's talk more about Facebook. So this is back in February of 2012 from The Guardian. Obama, Facebook, and the Power of Friendship. The 2012 data election is by a guy named Ed Pilkington and Amanda Mitchell. Amanda Mickle? I don't know how to pronounce that. Every time an individual... Oh, my God. Every time an individual volunteers to help out, for instance, by offering to host a fundraising party for the president, he or she will be asked to log in to the re-election website with their Facebook credentials. That, in turn, will engage Facebook Connect, the digital interface that shares a user's personal information with a third party. Consciously or otherwise, the individual volunteer will be injecting all of the information they store publicly on their Facebook page: home, location, date of birth, interests, crucially, their network of friends, directly into the central Obama database. Remember, this is what I was talking about. These friends did not give permission. Like, what's his face over here? Like Clarence Page said, the big difference is because Obama got the permission to use the data from their users on their app. I'm saying right here, that's not true. That's not true. Because they used this person's data to get other people targeted. And those people didn't fucking volunteer for that shit. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they mind. I'm not even saying this is unethical. You know, we started off by reading the shit that we agree to when we get a Facebook account. That's why dragging the Zuck to answer questions about this is ridiculous. I would just print out the Facebook fucking user agreements, privacy agreements, and whatnot. I would bind them up in handmade binders made out of baby seal skin. I would have hundreds of them built, and I would just walk in to that committee hearing, pass one out to everybody, and to go kiss my fucking ass, and then leave. Oh my god. The potential benefits of this strategy can already be felt. The Obama campaign this year has attracted about 1.3 million donors, 98% of whom have contributed $250 or less. That's more than double the number at the same stage in 2008. At this rate, Obama is also well on his way towards staging the world's first billion-dollar campaign. The significance of the fusion, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. The significance of the fusion of Facebook and voter file data is hard to overemphasize. This quote, "This is the Moneyball moment for politics," unquote, says Sam Graham-Felsen. You can never, I guess this, Sam, I guess, could be a female's name. My favorite sailor is a female named Sam. But I'm thinking that this is a dude. You can't trust dudes with hyphenated names. If you're a guy and you have a hyphenated name, you might as well just wear a t-shirt that says "I pee sitting down." If you can figure out how to leverage the power of friendship, that opens up incredible possibilities. First among these possibilities is that the campaign can distribute customized content designed specifically for its Facebook fans to share with their much wider circle of friends. The messages can be honed to a particular demographic, like age or gender, etc., as well as a set of interests, interests, and targeted on most hotly contested parts of the most crucial battleground states. Quote, "Influencers," unquote, those people who tend to act as thought leaders among their friends on Facebook, can be identified and prioritized. So that's what I was talking about before when I was saying that they can rank you. So if they can figure out if you are an influencer among your little tribe, then they can also figure out who's the followers among your little tribe. That's the unsaid part about this. That's the part that no one of these are talking about. You know, they're saying, hey, this guy, when he posts something political, 12 people or 20 people or whatever, 100 people like what he says and engage with him. So they're not only picking him, they're marking him to use him because he's an influencer. And these 15, 20, 50, whatever people are the people that he influences. So they're marking influencers. They don't talk about the people that are the influenced score or whatever. The category of the influenced or easily influenced. All right, so we're going to kind of transition here back to this Carol Davidson lady, and we're going to talk about, so now we're getting in our time travel machine. We're coming back to modern days. We're going from 2012 to back to 2018, and we're going to talk about what this Carol Davidson said once this news of Cambridge Analytica was breaking. She jumped on Twitter like you know, like when you get away with something, you're like out of the statutes of limitation, you know, nothing like murder, like a kidnapping, and like the statute of limitations has run out, and you just gotta get on Twitter and just be like, bah, bah. 5 years ago, I kidnapped this guy. No one ever caught me. Like, Obama 2012 campaign sucked data from Facebook, former officials say. This is on Fox This is on Fox's website. It's a guy by the name of James Rogers, March 20th, 2018. As the controversy over Cambridge Analytica's alleged misuse of Facebook data grows, other groups of the social network have also been thrust into the spotlight, including President Barack Hussein Obama's 2012 presidential election campaign. I don't know, a lot of going off topic here. When I first said Barack Hussein Obama to my wife, she was like, "What?" Like, that's his fucking middle name. She was like, "I didn't know his middle name was Hussein." Yeah, and that's the name he chose. Like, this Barack Obama isn't his real fucking name. He changed his name. Changed it to Barack Obama. Reports emerged over the weekend that data mining firm Cambridge Analytica, which has ties to Donald Trump's 2016 presidential election campaign, improperly used information from more than 500 million Facebook accounts. Facebook has suspended the company from the social network. The UK firm, which describes itself as a, quote, data-driven communications and marketing agency, unquote, denies any wrongdoing. Rightly so, I think that we've covered. The Washington Post reports in 2007, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg invited developers to build businesses using Facebook data effectively, letting them tap into users' lists of friends, likes, and interests. The company's 2012 developer conference, Zuckerberg took it a step further, saying that the company was loosening the grip on storing user data. We've had this policy where you can't store or cache data for longer than 24 hours, and we're going to go ahead and get rid of that policy, Zuckerberg said. While the social network tightened its policy in 2015, the current scandal has shone a light on how Facebook data has historically been used. Silence from Zuckerberg, Sandberg on Facebook scandal is like putting gasoline on the fire. All right, so this is where we're going to get into this Carol Davidson. So a lot of you guys might be turned off because I'm reading from a Fox News article. However, this is the one place that kind of collected up her tweets. So when I'm reading her tweets, realize that that comes from Twitter. That's not from a source on Fox. You see what I'm saying? So it's just, instead of going to Twitter and finding this person and writing down all of her tweets, I just got them all right here. On Twitter, Carol Davidson, which, just to remind you, was the lady who came... Her background was in television data based on the Nielsen ratings box, which is fascinating. This whole thing is fascinating. Carol Davidson, the former director of integration and media analytics at Obama for America, explained how the 2012 campaign harnessed Facebook application programming interface, which is the API. So whenever you hear people talk about, well, that's what Farmville uses, and that's what Tinder uses, or whatever. This is what they're talking about. This API social graph is the name of this thing. I guess if you're a developer or you have a developer account or whatever, however you fucking use it, like, you can have access to some parts of this. To access the company's social graph that maps users' connections. Listen, maps users' connections. So again, we're not talking about I gave Obama the ability to tap my Facebook data because I have this app and I'm using it. They are tapping into all the people that I influence on Facebook, and the vice versa. Probably the vice versa. Where was I? This enabled the campaign to access information on users' friends when they used the Facebook login button to access the campaign's website, according to the Washington Post. This isn't like Breitbart. This isn't like The Blaze. Like, it's the fucking Washington Post. Facebook was surprised when we were able to suck out the whole social graph. The whole social graph. But they didn't stop us once they realized what we were doing, Davidson tweeted. Facebook was surprised we were able to suck out the whole social graph, but they didn't stop us once they realized what we were doing. She tweeted that on the 19th, March 19th, 2018. They came to our office in the days following the election, recruiting, and we were very candid that they allowed us to do things they wouldn't have allowed someone else to do because they were on our side, she said in a subsequent tweet. I am also 100% positive that Facebook actively recruits the staff's people that are on the other side. Carol Davidson, March 19th, 2018. Davidson also tweeted an example of how the campaign used the Facebook data in an email list. Again, I would like to take this opportunity to suggest you guys sign in to my mailing list. The link is in the show notes. Quote, an example of how we use the data to append our email lists. And then there's a Bitly or a Twitter link right there. She posted that on the 19th. The data expert who worked on the campaign from November 2011 to 2012 added that she felt uncomfortable about the project. I worked on all of the data integration projects at OFA, that's Obama for America, and was one of the ones that, this was the only one, I'm trying to get her right, I don't want to misquote her, this was the only one that felt creepy, even though we played by the rules. We didn't do anything I felt was ugly with the data. Really, bitch? I worked on all of the data integrate, blah, 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 blah. That was a tweet from March 19th, 2018. Davidson, who has not responded to a request to comment on this story from Fox News, Facebook has denied that there was any favoritism towards the Obama campaign. Both the Obama and Romney campaign had access to the same tools, and no campaign received any special treatment from Facebook. It said in a statement emailed to Fox News. I thought that was it, but it looks like I got another page here. All right, so, we're running a little bit long. All right, I'm going to go back to this. I'm sorry we're going to run long, but we still have some stuff to talk about. I'm going to go back to this Amanda Schrecker Huffington Post article from 2014. It's called Didn't Read Facebook's Fine Print, and here's exactly what it says. I'm just going to read some stuff out of here so you can see that this isn't new. What Facebook is doing isn't new. There's actually like a whole sort of section of companies called data brokers. So anytime that you have like an app that's free, it's doing something, it's entertaining you for free. It's not entertaining you for free. It's $1 billion industry. You're just not the one paying for it. Like everything you do on that app, Farmville or whatever. I don't know what the fuck what kind of data they were collecting from Farmville. How much spare time people have? I don't even know. But it's not free. People are paying to know what you're doing. God, I just thought about SimCity. The data you could, I imagine the data would be fascinating that you could get from monitoring people playing SimCity. Oh my God. Think about Chatterbait. Oh boy. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this article just for a few points. There's a few lists in here of data that they're collecting, so I just want to get into that just a little bit. Brokers share this information. Let's see. Let's get a little context here. Data brokers earn their money by selling the power of your consumer habits and monitoring your online and offline spending. Facebook's partnership allows them to measure the correlation between the ads you see on Facebook and the purchases you make in store and determine whether they're that you're actually buying in real life, the things that you're seeing digitally while using Facebook. Two Facebook partners, Datalogics and Axions. So these are third-party vendors. One of the oldest data brokers and partners to Huffington Post parent company AOL Incorporated were among the 9 data brokers that the Federal Trade Commission analyzed in a recent in-depth study. So this is in-depth. This recent in-depth study was recent as 2014. Just keep that in mind because I'm sure you can find more data. I'm sure you can find newer data. I was attracted to these lists that I'm getting to for this specific article. The study found that data brokers collect consumer data from numerous sources, largely without the consumer's knowledge, and store billions of data elements. Axiom has a database of about 3,000 data segments for nearly every U.S. consumer. Creep level 11. Brokers share this information among multiple layers of data brokers, providing data to each other, and then analyze the data to make potentially sensitive inferences about the consumer. These sensitive data points can range from health specifics like high cholesterol to broader demographic categories like the so-called urban scramble, which includes a high concentration of Latinos and African Americans with low incomes, or the so-called rural everlasting, which includes single men and women over the age of 66 with low educational attainment and low net worths. Fuck these guys. Other examples of data points the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, noted. All right, so here's one of these lists, this crazy list that I'm talking about. They're getting this information from the pictures that you post, from the things that you type, from the things that you like, from what your friends are posting pictures of, typing, or liking, what you're clicking on, what articles you're reading. Big Brother is watching you, and you love it. So we're going to get into this list real quick. Wiretap. Do you have a pancake recipe? Okay, so here's this list. The FTC noted that examples of data points that people are collecting on you are the presence of an elderly parent, the presence of children in the household, birth dates of each child in the house, single parents with children, ethnic and religious affiliations, home size, market value, date of move, gambling, state lotteries, affluent baby boomer, type of credit cards. How do they know that? Date of last travel purchase, buying activity, working class mom. I guess that's the Roseanne demographic. Buying channel preferences. Channel meaning internet, mail, phone, etc. Average days between orders. Last online order date. Last offline order date. Smoker in household. Allergy sufferer. Weight loss and supplements. Expecting parent. So listen to this. The data collection is difficult to skirt. One time magazine reporter went to great lengths to hide her pregnancy from big data. She said her husband ended up looking like a criminal when he went to a drugstore and tried to purchase enough Amazon gift cards to buy a stroller on the website. The kind of ultra-specific marketing also can become eerie. Take the case of Mike C.A., who was an LA Times reporter. He received an Office Max marketing letter addressed to, quote, Mike C.A., comma, daughter killed in car crash, end quote. Office Max said that the information came from a third-party broker, but did not specify which one. So I want to know, what about this guy's daughter dying in a car crash what Office Max has to sell him. Like extra airbags. I don't know. What could they sell you? This goes on to talk about the Nielsen rating boxes again. Of course, targeting ads is hardly a new phenomenon. Nielsen started gathering information about radio audiences back in the 30s, but because Facebook has so much information on every user, the kinds of demographics they have make available to advertisers are more comprehensive. Some of the things, these are some of the ad target categories that Facebook follows: life events, politics. It's right there. I mean, it's right there. Who other than politicians would care what your politics are? I mean, literally, it's right there. Markets, industries, income, net worth, home type, home ownership, home value. Here's a telling one: ethnic affinity, generation, household compositions, and then moms. It seems like moms are a fucking hot commodity. That leads me back to Chatterbeat. Office types and family statuses. So they go on here to talk about advertising using this set of information. For example, a company could specify its audience, said Facebook, to target people who recently moved and are engaged or in a relationship and in the industries of accounting or finance. When Facebook introduced its ad targeting, it said, when we ask people about our ads, one of the top things they tell us is that they want to see ads that are more relevant to their interests. There you have it. Case closed. Where's my baby seal lined binder with my user terms and agreements? All right, I swear we're going to wrap this up soon. There's just a lot to get through. You know what I'm saying? So in the cold open, I read the terms agreement, and I really made a hee-haw about the research in the research clause in one of these excerpts. And I'm going to go on and read the article. Again, this is from Amanda Schechter, Huffington Post, 7/21/14. For internal operations, including troubleshooting, data analysis, testing, research, and service improvement. She goes on to say, yeah, right there. Despite the research clause, you might have been surprised to learn that Facebook experimented on nearly 700,000 Facebook users for 1 week in the summer of 2012. We actually talk about this often. I mean, at least once. In the computational propaganda episode, we talked about this, and then way back in episode 1 with Joe Atwell, I actually talked about this. The site manipulated their news feeds to prioritize positive or negative content, attempting to determine if emotions spread contagiously through social networks. There was no age restriction on the data, meaning it could have involved users under 18. Cornell researchers then analyzed Facebook's data. The resulting study, published in the Proceedings of the Natural Academy of Sciences, found that an emotional state can be transferred via social networks. The company executive Sheryl Sandberg has since apologized for the study, calling it. She didn't apologize for the study. She actually apologized, saying that the study was poorly communicated. Andrew Ledvina, a former data scientist at Facebook from early 2012 to the summer of 2013, told the Wall Street Journal that Facebook did not have an internal review board monitoring research conducted by the data science team. She said that the team had had the freedom to try nearly any test it desired, so long as it didn't interfere with the user experience. She added that the sheer mass of the experienced subjects at the time were difficult to really comprehend, numbering in the hundreds of thousands of users. As he put it, you get a little desensitized to it. So I'm just going to wrap up with this. Like, everyone going crazy, freaking out about these data mining things. Get off your Facebook. Get off your Facebook. Get off your Instagram. Get off your. Well, I think Twitter's the fucking Wild West, so I don't know what Twitter's doing. But get off all of that stuff. Stop Google searching. Stop going to Google and typing stuff in. They are tracking you. They're learning what you want to know about. And that's a scary, I mean, from a philosophical standpoint, that's terrifying. But, you know, there's no law that was broken here. There's no law against you allowing your data to be collected and someone selling it or giving it away to whatever presidential campaign they're talking about. There's just no law against it. Now, there might be some civil damages somewhere. You know, I often wonder about this Facebook mood or emotion controlling project. If anyone committed suicide, if any young person took their life during that was a victim or test subject of this, like, you know, I mean, I kind of went off about this in the computational propaganda episode, just to kind of the same way I'm talking about it now. It's obvious to me that people care and are affected by what they see on Facebook. I mean, it's cultivating this culture driven by outrage. It's driven by outrage and cute cats. Like, that's all that... In the era of Trump, that's all you're getting from Facebook. Outrage, or I should say manufactured fake outrage and cute cat videos. That's it. And people are just going for it. I can't drive anywhere without seeing someone multitasking, driving their car, listening to the radio, playing on their phone. I guarantee, like, probably most of the playing on the phone is, I mean, Chatterbait or Facebook, I imagine. I mean, that's just it's turned into my theme for the evening. So, I'm done preaching about this. I'm sure this is not going to be the last episode we have like this, but we've just had so much, like, Gnostic, and then the Freemason stuff, before that. This whole year so far has been real into the occult and alternate religions. So I kind of wanted to do something like Law and Order, like ripped straight from the headlines. So I thought that this would be a perfect way to continue our discussion that we started, you know, back in episode 1, and again in the computational propaganda episode, and just kind of keep driving it forward. And hopefully, you know, I learned some stuff researching this episode. I sure did. And hopefully you guys learned something too by listening to me rant on about data mining and what they can find. I mean, breaking your data set up into 96 fucking segments, or like even by the second, tracking when you're changing the channel, what you're changing the channel on. That's huge. Think about the amount of TV that we as Americans watch. Knowing what turns us off, so we switch a channel, that's big, bro. That's big. All right, so I've been John Towers. This has been the Abercast. Hey, remember Moving Day is coming up? Please remember Moving Day is coming up. And watch out for Moving Day. Everybody, watch out for Moving Day. Rate and review on iTunes. I'm not going to say don't do it now, but if you do it now, then also do it when moving day's over. Thank you guys, and no, that's it. Just thank you guys. I appreciate it. I love everybody. Thank you guys for letting me jabber and yabble at you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm John Towers. This has been data mining. I don't know what I'm going to call this. Data mining, maybe? Whatever.
The Non-Standard Squad, 1944. World War II. 3 weird American soldiers are on a search and rescue mission into the oldest and darkest regions of Europe. A cursed, ever-living warrior, Cyrus the Dead Guy. An experimental warbot, Sergeant Lane McCord. An all-red axe, mysterious rogue with a demon-possessed arm come face-to-face with an army of magically corrupted machine-obsessed elves, a magic hammer-wielding Norse Ubermensch, and a Nazi wizard who is a member of the ancient Dark Order of the Shining Hexagon. The Non-Standard Squad 1944 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us.
Stigmata Studio.
Motherfucker.
Vienna, 1683. Today is September 11th, 1683. The mighty army of the Ottoman Empire, led by the savage and radical terror troops of the Dar al-Harb, surround the walled city of Vienna and begin a siege to break the golden apple of Europe and kill, enslave, or convert all of its inhabitants. The valiant citizens stand against the tyrannical army with the steadfast leadership of Count Ernst Rudiger von Stromberg, the help of the ever-living rebel Cyrus the Dead Guy, and the hopes of the faraway King Jan Sobieski III and his army of flying hussars. The Vienna 1683 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us. The